Have you ever wondered what it's like to carry a huge screen in front of your eyes without holding anything? Without a headset? Without looking like you just stepped out of a sci-fi movie? That's the exact feeling you get when you put on the eyewear. But here's the question. Does that first wow moment actually last when you use them all day? Today, we're diving into exactly that. And trust me, some surprises only reveal themselves after real-world use. Stick around because you won't believe how this tiny device quietly changes the way you watch, work, and move. The first thing you notice when you put them on is the design. They look like oversized sunglasses, not bulky tech. The weight spreads across your nose bridge and the arms over your ears, which means even after minutes of wear, your face doesn't feel pinched or strained. That might sound basic, but comfort is the first hurdle for any wearable. I remember the first time I wore them during a commute. I didn't even notice the glasses until I glanced at the screen. That's when I realized the balance and weight distribution aren't just comfortable there, smartly engineered to make the device fade into daily life. Now, here's a twist you might not expect. The XREAL Air doesn't run apps on its own. It doesn't try to be a phone. It's a display. It mirrors content from your phone or connected device instantly. No boot animations, no clunky software menus. You plug in the USB-C cable, and the screen is right there, floating in front of you. Your eyes adjust almost immediately. And because there's no internal processing, the glasses stay cool, no heat creeping up your face, no fans worry. That simplicity makes it feel less like a gadget and more like an extension of your daily tech. Let's talk about the visual experience, because that's where the almost XR magic begins. The display feels like a massive tablet floating in space about 2 meters away. Text is sharp, videos are bright, and the screen size adapts perfectly to your field of view without making you feel cramped. But here's a small catch: positioning matters. Tilt the glasses too high or low, and the image shifts. That's physics, not a flaw. But once you adjust them properly, the screen feels incredibly natural, almost like it was meant to exist there all along. And the best part, your neck doesn't get tired. Unlike tablets or laptops, you're not constantly craning to see the content, you just look, and it's there. That audio is another subtle but crucial factor. The XREAL Air has open-ear speakers near your ears, so sound plays directly toward you without earbuds. In a quiet room, it feels personal, almost like someone whispering your favorite video straight into your head. Outside, or in a louder environment, there is some sound leakage, which means people nearby might hear faint audio. That's a trade-off you get used to quickly. It's not private headphones, but it's convenient and social. If someone talks to you mid-video, you still hear them, and the interaction doesn't break. But here's where things start to get interesting. The glasses aren't just for sitting still. I took them on a walk around my apartment, and even a small park outside. The display stays in your line of sight, moving with your eyes rather than the environment. You remain aware of your surroundings. And that's important. You don't feel isolated or sealed off, and yet the content still dominates your vision just enough to keep you immersed. TC's Wearable almost XR. Makes sense. The device flirts with immersion but never isolates you completely. And that careful balance is what makes them comfortable for long-term use. Now, you might be wondering, do they get in the way of daily life? Here's the surprising answer. Not really. Not really. They're not heavy. They don't block peripheral vision entirely, and you can interact with people naturally while wearing them. The only reminder of their presence is the cable connecting them to your phone. That's a minor tether, but it's also a grounding factor reminding you this is a tool, not a portal into another world. Stick around, because in the next section, we'll see how connectivity, movement, and content playback reveal the true personality of these glasses in real-life scenarios. Once you've adjusted the fit and plugged the XREAL Air into your phone, the real test begins. Daily life in motion. Sitting still is one thing, but can a device like this actually keep up with you? I decided to find out. I took them on a short commute, walked around the living room, and even tried them while cooking. And here's what happened. The display stays stable. The image follows your eyes, not the environment. You can glance around naturally, interact with people, and the screen remains readable. That's surprisingly different from a VR headset, where every movement requires recalibration. The XR Eal Air doesn't force you to freeze you move, and the display simply stays in your line of sight. Now let's talk about control. Unlike some AR headsets with complex gesture systems or onboard apps, the XReal Air doesn't try to reinvent how you interact. You use your phone as the controller. Tap, swipe, or select exactly as you normally would. At first, this feels almost underwhelming. You might expect more tech wizardry. But then you realize how powerful that simplicity is. You don't need to learn new gestures, troubleshoot a menu, or figure out how to pause a video. It just works, and that consistency makes it easy to integrate into everyday routines. The next surprise is the versatility of content. Because the glasses mirror your phone, anything you can play on your device appears in front of your eyes. Videos, presentations, apps, everything pops onto the floating screen. But here's the subtle difference that really matters. The size of the virtual screen feels massive compared to your phone, without needing a giant TV. I remember watching a short video while seated on the couch. I could glance up from my laptop, look at the floating screen, and read every word clearly. The size and clarity of the display make it feel like you're holding a 100 screen in your head, but your arms don't get tired, and your neck doesn't ache. That's a real-world convenience most people don't expect from wearable displays. That then comes the real-world challenge. Movement outdoors. I walked around a quiet street to see how the open-ear audio and display behaved in a semi-public environment. The audio is directional, so you get most of the sound personally, but people nearby could hear faint traces. That's not a flow, it's a design choice. Open-ear sound keeps you aware of your surroundings. While I watched a short clip, a neighbor waved at me, and I could respond naturally without taking the glasses off. That's not something you get with traditional headphones or VR headsets, and it quietly changes how long you're willing to wear the glasses. The cable is a minor consideration. You're tethered to your phone, so free roaming is limited. But interestingly, that tether also keeps the experience grounded. You never feel like the device is trying to be more than it is. It's a screen, it's portable, and it stays connected. That realism is refreshing. It doesn't pretend to float in space or do magic. It just mirrors your device faithfully, and in doing so, it becomes predictable, reliable, and, strangely, relaxing. Now, let's talk comfort over long periods. I wore the XReal Air for over an hour while switching between sitting, standing, and even pacing back and forth. At no point did my face feel sore or fatigued. The glasses are light, well-balanced, and engineered to sit naturally, because there's no heavy processing inside the frame. There's no heat buildup. My ears didn't get hot, my nose didn't get pinched, and the display didn't induce eye strain. It's subtle, but this kind of passive comfort is what makes you want to keep using them in real life rather than just as a short demo. Then there's social comfort, a surprising strength. I tested interactions with family and friends while wearing the glasses. Because the display doesn't cover your eyes, they can see your face, and you can see theirs. I didn't feel cut off or hidden. Even small conversations felt natural. And in a world where most XR devices isolate you, this is a quiet but critical advantage. You're still present in the room while enjoying a massive virtual screen. But here's the cliffhanger. Everything we've seen so far works beautifully in controlled scenarios. Sitting, short walks, and quiet spaces. What happens when you push them into real-world chaos? When devices update, notifications appear, or lighting conditions change outdoors. That's exactly what I tested next, and the results reveal the true personality of these glasses. Stick around, because in the next section, we're diving into real-world daily use, multitasking, and exactly how these glasses perform when life refuses to pause. By now, the XReal Air has shown us what it can do in controlled environments, short walks, even casual social interactions. But life isn't controlled. Life throws interruptions, notifications, and surprises at you every day. So, decided to test them under the most practical scenario: real-world daily use. I carried the glasses for hours while switching between tasks, checking messages, watching videos, reviewing content, and even walking around my home office. And the truth is, they hold up in ways I didn't expect. Because the display mirrors your phone, multitasking is effortless. I could glance at a presentation while keeping a spreadsheet open on my laptop. I could watch a tutorial while taking notes, and the floating screen makes a subtle difference. You don't need to adjust your posture, lean closer, or squint at tiny text. Everything sits naturally in front of your eyes, letting you divide attention without strain. That's a very real convenience that doesn't show up in spec sheets, but becomes obvious once you use them daily. The open-ear audio continues to impress in these scenarios. You can hear dialogue clearly, even with mild background noise, without isolating yourself completely. That means phone calls, family interactions, and environmental awareness remain intact. It's subtle, almost polite tech that supports your routine instead of demanding isolation. I remember the first time I realized this. I was watching a video while my sibling asked a quick question, and I responded without skipping a beat or taking the glasses off. That's a practical advantage that's easy to overlook. Now let's address a question I know many of you are thinking. What about the camera? The XR Air has a built-in camera that captures what's in front of you. Unlike smartphones or standalone cameras, it's always aligned with your perspective. But here's the honest reality: you still need your phone for control and saving footage. The camera doesn't record independently. Instead, it's an extension of the phone's functionality, letting you capture or stream moments without lifting your device. In real life, that's incredibly handy for quick demos or tutorials, but it's not meant to replace full photography setups. And that limitation actually makes it feel grounded and usable, not overpromised. Next comes battery and power management, which often trips people up with wearables. The XR Air doesn't have a battery in the glasses themselves. It draws power directly from the phone. That might sound like a compromise, but in practice, it's brilliant. There's no internal charging, no heat from processing, and no battery anxiety. You can focus on the experience without constantly checking power levels or dealing with overheating. And because the glasses are lightweight and passive, long sessions feel effortless. The cable is, of course, a small consideration. While you're tethered to your phone, it rarely interferes with movement, and in a strange way, that tether enhances the feeling of stability. You know the device will behave consistently, and there's no risk of losing connection. It grounds the experience while keeping everything predictable, something that's surprisingly rare in wearable tech. By the end of my test day, a pattern became clear. The XR Air isn't about replacing your environment, escaping reality, or promising futuristic magic. It's about integration. The device becomes part of your daily life without creating friction. You can sit, walk, socialize, or work without feeling like you're wearing tech. It doesn't dominate your senses, it doesn't misbehave, and it doesn't demand attention. It quietly delivers a massive screen, portable visuals, and practical audio, exactly what it promises. And that, ultimately, is where the best AR glasses of 2026. Question earns an honest answer. They're not the most immersive, the flashiest, or the most autonomous device, but they are practical, wearable, and approachable in ways most AR devices aren't. They fit naturally into real life. They respect your body, your vision, and your environment. They stay predictable, comfortable, and useful. That combination, calm, reliable, and effective, is surprisingly rare in wearable displays, and it's what makes the XR Air stand out in a very grounded, human way. So, are they perfect? No. They require a tethered device. The camera relies on your own open-ear audio isn't private in loud spaces, but each of these limitations comes with a practical upside: simplicity, comfort, and predictability. And in real-world scenarios, those qualities often matter more than flashy specs. When I finally took the glasses off after a full day, the feeling wasn't disappointment or fatigue, it was convenience. They didn't overwhelm me. They didn't disrupt my interactions, and didn't make me feel isolated. Instead, they quietly earned a place in my routine. And that's the real measure of wearable technology. Not hype, not promises. Just usability, comfort, and a screen that feels like it was always meant to exist right in front of your eyes. In short, the XR Air shows that sometimes almost XR is exactly what we need. Not fully immersive, not overcomplicated. Just a practical bridge between your phone and your world. And in a 2026 landscape crowded with headsets and prototypes, that honesty might be the most futuristic thing of all.